Hey, how's it going, guys? I wanted to make another quick YouTube video just to talk about an idea that I had that I am very unsure whether or not it's going to work, but it seems really interesting and it seems like it'll be a pretty cool build if it does work. Uh, Although one other important thing is that it probably won't be a very good league starter, but the idea is that we're going to be doing a Hydrosphere that's triggered and triggered hopefully like about every half second, maybe like 0.75 seconds. So what you do, and I'm using Stormbrand as a placeholder, and also because I think in this setup I would actually have Hydrosphere on a 4-link and Stormbrand as single target, even though that sounds a little bit weird, but you'd have Hydrosphere essentially snapshotted with Archmage and Control Destruction, Lightning Pen, and based on that you should be able to get DPS numbers. I did the math. I think it's going to be about, I mean, Stormbrand doesn't hit quite as hard as Hydrosphere, but it pulses more often. I think the math is going to be about the same. So this is 621k DPS against Cirrus. So very respectable, and that's where Stormbrand actually would come into play, is that you'd have it on a 6-link. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. So this would for your clear, it would be much less than 621 because it wouldn't be a 6-link, so you wouldn't have like Arcane Surge or Conk Effect. It'd still be well enough to clear, especially because you'd get Arcane Surge from this node on the tree, and you'd be shocking way more, and they wouldn't be Cirrus, etc., etc. But yeah, so the idea with triggers. So the reason why this is so interesting is that you're essentially snapshotting like a huge Hydrosphere with Archmage, and then you move that one sphere around because the gem description is that let me go here. The gem description says, is that visible? Ooh, not really. Aha, okay, so create a sphere of water, that's going to be our snapshotted one, or move an existing one. So depending on whether or not you can snapshot with one skill gem and like a 4-link, and then cast another separate one with like a cast when damage taken trigger, which is what I plan to use, affects whether this build will work at all. So basically you have to, when the league starts, test it out. If that doesn't work, if the cast when damage taken skill gem, even though it's the same type of skill gem but a different gem itself, creates a new orb instead of moving or snapshotted one, this build doesn't work at all. But if it does, you can do some really cool stuff where, like I said, you snapshot it and then you trigger it based on cast when damage taken. So here's a video of the skill in action, and I can blow this up. So the reason why triggering is good is because it's very clunky to like constantly move around the same one. Because not only do you have to move it around, but you also have to constantly cast a second other spell to put an ailment on it. So the idea is, if you trigger, you can trigger something that will put an ailment on your sphere and the sphere itself, so it'll move around all the time. And the other thing I want to talk about is, a lot of people looked at this and were talking about things like cast on crit, cast while channeling, stuff like that, but both of those skills will either cast the sphere where you're attacking if it's cast on crit, or where your cursor is pointed if it's cast while channeling. So you're not saving a ton of extra time by triggering it that way. You're more so just using it to like pump up the damage of whatever you were doing before. And what I'm getting at is the reason why cast when damage taken is so good is because cast when damage taken will trigger stuff around you. So let's say, you know, you're moving forward and there's this enemy here is going to get the sphere pulled towards it, it dies, but let's say there's another enemy over here. When it triggers again, you don't have to be attacking this enemy over here, you don't have to be putting your cursor over here, it's just going to yank the sphere back over here and kill this mob or this pack that you missed as a straggler. So I think cast when damage taken would be the most comfortable and effective way of getting all the coverage you want for clear. The other cool thing is that it's because we only need a real low level cast when damage taken to just cast level 1 Hydrosphere to move it around. You can get really simple triggering mechanism by using this item. Small, let's go back. This item here, Storm Secret. So this is a ring, and you only need one of these because your other one would have to be Essence Worm for Wrath. But you have one of these, and what this does is makes it so that when your Herald Thunder goes off, which it always will with the new Elementalist, you're going to shock like crazy, and you can even do it on bosses. But when this goes off, you take 250 lightning damage to yourself, and because the cast when damage taken level 1 gem only needs like 530-ish damage to trigger. If you have max lightning res 75%, it's going to take like about a second and a half to trigger. But I think with this, especially because you get that new elemental Aegis from the Elementalist tree, I think it might be fine to even lower your lightning res to like 50%. So it's triggering, like I said, like every 0.75 seconds or maybe even more often. But that way you basically get your entire like looping cast when damage taken trigger just based off this one item. And that also makes it way easier to trigger stuff like Desecrate if you want to use the Kitava node from this, Kitava's Teachings, to this thing. If you want to use like Kitava's Teachings in order to recover even more life and mana, like your level 1 cast when damage taken is going to be able to help add a lot more utility beyond just moving the Hydrosphere. So it seems like a really cool build. It's definitely very hipster because even though Hydrosphere is all the clear, I'm grabbing stuff like Runebinder just so that I can use like another, Archmage pumped up brand setup to do single target. I think it would be very interesting, but like I said, not a good league starter, and this build is completely irrelevant if the snapshotting thing that I described in the beginning doesn't work. So let me know what you guys think. If you decide to try this out, keep me posted on how it goes. I might try this out as like a second character if it works, but the new Hydrosphere skill looks really cool. So hopefully somebody finds a way to make it work. But thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.